everybody, what's up? It's your boy Nerdicane. I have something very, 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 very special today. This was an Indiegogo crowdfunding that I did a little while ago. This just came in the mail last weekend. I'm just getting around to do it. This is a reprinting of Cerebus, the aardvark. This was from Dave Sims. Cerebus is a very, very important indie book. It's probably, I don't know if it's the first indie book to really have an impact on the industry and inspired a lot of things. This is one of the books that inspired Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This itself was inspired by the Conan books of that era. It was sort of satirical take on it, but what happened was Dave Sims, he kept doing it, and something just beeped at me. Oh, it's the dishwasher. He kept doing it, and he found a very unique voice. He found a very unique way of telling a story. This is the reprint of the first issue. This is a little card that I got with it. It was in there as well. But I do, in reading this, I just remember how silly and fun and just crazy comic books were in the 70s. This was sort of before comic books became a big industry, and then after it became a big industry, it became the movie industry. It became the seeds of the movie industry that we see nowadays. But they were trying different things. They were trying silly things. And I in reading this, I just remember I was like, it's very silly that this has a very much a D&D Conan style, and then just this Zipatone aardvark thrown in there, and he's a barbarian. He's based on Conan, but it's sort of tongue in cheek. A lot of tongue-in-cheek things came out of this era. I think this is the era where Gru came from. Howard the Duck came out of this era. There's probably a couple more that I can't think of right now, but it was a very free and very fun time to be in comic books, and the indie books were really good. Probably about some years after this, I think it was 83 or 86, the Max first debuted, and that was very tongue-in-cheek. It was very interesting, but I'll do another video on that as I do my image series. This is sort of it's a graphic novel size, but this is just the first issue. This is like a 20-something, 22, 24 page story, and there's nothing really to this. There's nothing. This isn't what's special. This first issue isn't what's special about Cerebus, and it's not what's special about the creator, Dave Sim. It's what came afterwards. It's the long run. This first issue, when you read this, if you read this, I hope you read this, is very clever. It's a very clever type D&D story. There's nothing really tricky about it. It's just clever writing, and it's a clever plot, and it's a clever gimmick, as with this sorcerer. It's basically, he comes into town, two criminals hire him to go steal from a sorcerer, and hijinks happen. I want you to read this, because it's very clever, but it goes from there, and it's sort of a switcheroo, but look at this, oh my gosh. Look at this old school Star Wars stuff. There's a lot of things behind this, and once the story ends, you see sort of some sketches, you see some other stuff, some early archive work, some other covers and things like that. You see, I think it was back in the early 2000s, he tried to do a reimagining of the first issue, and it shows a little bit of that. So I can't remember, I think I paid $25 for it, worth every penny. I'm very glad that I can get this to show my kids, someday, or anybody who's interested in this, because I think collecting the first issue, the actual first issue, would be very, very difficult, because this came out in 77, 76, something like that. But like I said, this is just a goofy lark. And then through doing this and continuing to do this, he found a very interesting way he developed his way of telling a story. He developed his craft as well. And what this is, why this is significant, it's to people out there who are getting started. If you think you have a fun idea, an interesting idea for a comic, you may not have all the other elements. There's a lot of the other elements into this you know, the art is very good. It's very good style, and then you see kind of this cartoonish aardvark. But he kept at it. This wasn't the pinnacle of his work, but he kept at it and he kept doing it, and he just got better and better and better. And that's why so many people, you know, so many of the old school masters look to this and they're like, wow, this was amazing back then. This was very inspiring. And it held the record for the longest running independent comic for a very long time until Todd McFarlane surpassed that respectfully just this past year. And I'm going to do a little review on the issue where he shows up, Cerebus shows up in Spawn. It's sort of a side story. It's a warning. Even that issue is a warning to creators. It's saying, don't give your love, don't give the character that you love to one of these corporations. Control it yourself, keep it yourself, because that's the only way that your character keeps its power. It's a very, very poignant issue of Spawn. I remember getting this off the shelves when I was young, and I remember reading it, and that was when I was like, okay, you know, maybe I don't want to ever work for these big companies. You know, maybe doing my own thing, maybe being an independent is better, because this was telling me it's better to control your own destiny. And that was sort of the message to it as well. And it's a very poignant issue. A couple videos from now, I'm probably going to do it. I'm going to do Spawn #1, and then I'm going to do that issue of Spawn as well. But this came off of Indiegogo. I was hoping it would become like, you know how an Indiegogo campaign can become a virtual store where you can sell things through it. It doesn't seem like they're doing that. I think they just did this one run. Maybe they'll do another one if demand is high enough for this. The Kickstarter did very well. They got it done very well. They got it done pretty quick and got it out to me pretty quick as well. But I'm really glad I got this. If you have a chance to go get this, if you have a chance to pick this up secondhand or maybe in a collected version, go get it, because it was, you know, it was fun D&D stuff back in then with a silly aardvark, but there was a lot of poignancy to the storytelling, and it wasn't just, you know, I'm a barbarian, I'm going to chop some heads off. There was always something to it. As you see with just this, if you read this first issue, there was something more to it. There was something trickier to it. There were times where, you know, blind rage, that barbarian savage rage, wasn't going to win the situation. He had to do something else. He had to figure out some other way around it. But it's just really, really clever writing. But that's all I got for this one. I'm really glad I backed this one. If you can find this one, I highly, highly, highly suggest you do. Yeah, it's a book that I'm very glad that it's in my collection now. But anyway, that's all I got for this one. You guys, thank you for your time. If you have any suggestions on Indiegogos or, you know, indie books that I should be looking at and kind of giving my spin on, let me know in the comments as well. But I'm always open to that. But thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. You guys go have a good day. Go find something you love and go do it. Bye.